So with a very controversial topic like this, people are bound to disagree. However, before I start off with any scaling of any kind, I want to preface to listen to more of the things I say, as well as my reasoning as to why someone wins, rather than who actually wins the versus battle itself. With the versus battle of Naruto vs Ichigo going on for years at a time, I thought I would look into both characters and finally decide the winner. Whether this video gets views or not, I hope you guys pay attention to understand what I'm talking about, and lastly, enjoy. During the Fourth War, a character known as Kaguya Otsutsuki would emerge. Kaguya was stated in the show to being able to destroy her genesis or main dimension, with this dimension having a star within it, which is shown within the official OVA. An official OVA, which is an exclusive part of the anime or manga that extrapolates upon key events within its story to have not only a moon, but a star as well. This will make completely sense, as these dimensions are completely shown to have full day and night cycles within them, which would debunk any other artificial light source arguments. Kaguya being able to destroy this star and moon would get her to concretely star level, with solar system level at the highest. During Naruto the Last, Naruto would then face off against one of the last descendants of Hamura Otsutsuki, Toneri. Toneri on the movie box set is stated on two separate occasions to have chakra not only comparable to that of Kaguya, but to be the strongest enemy Naruto has faced so far. This would include the aforementioned Kaguya, meaning Toneri would scale above the likes of Kaguya, as I said prior. Toneri's entire plan was to destroy Earth and hurl the moon at it due to the fact that he thought humans were abusing their ability to manipulate chakra. Naruto would then go on to beat up this threat greater than Kaguya in KCM2, but then one-shot him as well in the likes of his base form. Keep in mind, this Naruto is providing these feats from 16 to 19 years old. These star-level solar system ranges of power aren't too outlandish, seeing how characters like Kaguya, Kurama, and Toneri are consistently shown to be on this tier of power and could potentially be higher with true dimensional scaling using Vsbattle wiki and character stats and profiles. However, for those who still have some doubts on if Naruto is truly star or possibly solar system level, within the fourth data book it's directly stated that the base 6 path chakra surpassed the likes of the KCM2 plus Sage Mode transformation Naruto used prior within the war, meaning this base Sage 6 path mode Naruto is already baseline star level and or planetary at the very least. Even with the spatial curvature of Earth being an original 16 when Kaguya was introduced and now 16 in the present day Boruto era, again supports the idea that everyone on Earth including Naruto got stronger since its affirmation 6 path state, with the anime stating Naruto has the most potent chakra on Earth, which is the reason why it took Momoshiki so long to absorb the likes of his chakra. This is even true with Naruto being able to one-shot beings directly stated to surpass the likes of Kaguya, and with the light novels and mangas stating that Sasuke can deal with Kaguya level beings on his own. Prior to almost all of Naruto history, Hagoromo Otsutsuki and his younger brother Hamura would then battle against the likes of a prime 10 tails absorbed Kaguya. Keep in mind, the aforementioned 9 tails only being a portion of the 10 tails overall power still pales in comparison to this version of Kaguya. However, even with all this power, Hagoromo would still be able to sear her within Shibaku Tensei that later on became the moon that we see within Naruto the Last. This Hagoromo also carried the fight between Kaguya and arguably stronger Kaguya, whom I already scaled to at least star level, so it's again consistent that these characters are again star level to solar system ranges of power. Creating a moon using various calcs could be anywhere from a multi-continental to a small planetary feat, with it being consistent with the narrative, as Toneri, an even stronger character than the likes of Kaguya they fought during the war, was going to hurl the moon at Earth like a 2016 Super Bowl touchdown. Kaguya's dimension was stated on multiple occasions to be its base time by not only Kaguya herself, but Kakashi, Obito, Zetsu, and Naruto as well. Its base time by necessity would have to be fourth dimensional and dimensionality, with it now qualifying for universal plus ranges of power via Vsbattle wiki and character stats and profiles, as I said prior. Due to the fact that a space time has 3 spatial dimensions and 1 temporal dimension, Kaguya was going to destroy this space-time using her Gurodama and recreate it, meaning she would scale to this attack due to the fact that it was her initial chakra she was destroying to destroy the aforementioned dimension in the first place. A teenage newly acquired 6-path Sage Mode Naruto was able to go toe-to-toe with this same Kaguya, and at one point even overpower her using the aforementioned Boil Release, with Boil Release being stated to amp you to the point where it surpasses the 6th gate, with the gates being stated within part 1 to be dozens upon dozens of time of an amp. Momoshiki in the novels and anime, which are indeed canon to the entire timeline, was stated to create a parallel dimension to Naruto's own universe. Keep in mind, this parallel dimension is home to multiple redshifts and nebulas within it, meaning this statement would hold up to its validity. By definition, a parallel dimension would have to be universal in size due to Naruto's universe being stated to being a universe on multiple occasions, with even the likes of Naruto regarding it as such in reference to Kaguya's dimensions, which would further support the universal Naruto scaling that I have been providing. Keep in mind, this same week Naruto was able to go toe-to-toe with a fused Momoshiki who absorbed the likes of Kenshiki. Kenshiki in the Boruto movie guide and data book was said to have enough power to destroy it and split the world in half. Again, Kenshiki would have to be strong enough to split the Earth beyond its GBE and completely separate it beyond its core. The same Earth having an amp spatial curvature, with the spatial curvature being the amount of energy and or energy density the Earth within the given context has accumulated over the progression of its existence, meaning this would be quote-unquote a more powerful Earth than what Kaguya originally descended upon. However, back to the main point, Naruto was able to keep up with this same Momoshiki who created a parallel dimension to Naruto's dimension, with the parallel dimension being defined as a self-contained plane of existence coexisting with one's own reality, often called a multiverse. But as we know, within Naruto, this is not the case. For those of you who still deny it was directly stated within the Boruto light novels, which are indeed canon to the timeline, that it was indeed a parallel dimension. This was also stated by Naruto Uzumaki himself. The same Momoshiki who was stated to being a threat greater than Kage on several occasions, again with Sasuke Shinden novels, even foreshadowing the arrival of Momoshiki and Kinshiki, stating that Sasuke would protect the earth against beings that are much stronger than the likes of Kage in general. Naruto scaling to this Momoshiki and above Kage would be consistent with the narrative, seeing how Momoshiki tried hard against this weakened Naruto that he did against the likes of Sasuke, and with the trio of Urashiki, Momoshiki, and Kinshiki scaring Kage to the point where she was going to kill her children. Naruto would then fight against the likes of Ishiki Otsutsuki, and would then get beaten alongside the likes of Sasuke. With almost no hope in sight, Kurama would then propose to use a form called Baron Mode, with Naruto and Kurama's chakra serving as the kernels for a whole new type of power energy called nuclear fusion. Nuclear fusion being a nuclear reactant in which two or more nuclei particles either fuse or transform into subatomic particles. The difference in mass being the reactants and products is manifested as either the release or absorption of energy. This would also be the reason as to why Naruto absorbed life energy like he did against the likes of Ishiki instead of releasing it. Nuclear fusion is also the process of energy that quietly powers the electric star, with the process being around 500 million times the amount of two atoms clashing together regularly. Keep in mind, to even hope of destroying a star, it would take 10 to the 41 joules of energy to even overcome its GBE and completely destroy it. This would mean that Naruto would then gain an almost star level amp on top of his already base star level power, which would quantify up to millions upon millions of times of an amp if you took nuclear fusion to amp hyper literally. So with Naruto having universal plus levels of power via the Momoshiki and Kage scaling I did prior, alongside the two-dimensionality and the millions upon millions of times of an amp via Baron mode, one may put into question just how fast Naruto is. Naruto characters have been fast and on light-to-light speeds ever since the beginning of part 1, with characters like Haku's ice mirrors being stated to move at light speed. This will hold up true due to the fact that she's able to intercept the likes of a range amp Sharingan amp Kakashi's Raikiri while mentally amped but physically weaker. Itachi's water bullet is also stated to detonate at fast and light speed, as well as Naruto as a kid would scale to this, seeing how in KM0 is able to body the likes of Haku to the point where she completely admits inferiority to the said Naruto. This wouldn't even be the peak of Naruto's power within part 1, as Naruto would then achieve the likes of the one-tailed cloak form, in which he would gain a 10 times amp on top of his already base monstrous power and speed. However, during Shippuden is a real scaling for Naruto's speed and where he really starts to blossom. With characters like the Raikage being stated to move near the speed of light within his V1 form, within collaboration with Bleach to perform the double lariat, and with the Raikage possibly reaching the likes of light speed or even surpassing it with his V2 transformation, and this would make perfect sense. In newly acquired case scene with Naruto would then go into speed blitz likes of a V2 full power Raikage, which would make him at least faster than light. Some have calculated speed feat to be around 72 to 75 times the speed of light. However, I'll leave this up into your interpretation on if you think Naruto at this point within the series will truly be this fast. However, via the part 1 scaling I did prior, and with these characters already reaching those speeds early on, I wouldn't say it's too inconsistent nor outlandish to assert. Naruto would then achieve the likes of the Sage 6 Path Mode transformation, in which he would dodge the likes of the Sage Art Life Fang while being held in place by Madara's invisible limbo clone that exists on an entirely different plane of existence, as stated by Madara himself. In the fourth data book, Kishimoto describes the Sage Art Life phase as follows, and I quote, "A ninjutsu used by those who gain the 6 Path power. They emit a beam of light to bisect the enemy like a sharp pointed fang. It cuts all things out with the speed of light, making it impossible for the enemy to evade, even one swing." Naruto during the Naruto Red Suit and Light Novel that came out in 2018 was able to dodge the likes of the photonic light beams, with the translation stating, and I quote, "He followed that thought. A bright red beam shot out, followed by a low hum of photons displaced molecules. Not knowing how to operate the bike, Naruto instinctively learned the bike alongside his body. The laser beam, without bending, passed right through Naruto's ear and immediately hit the fence behind the private house. Bamboo reeds hit with such a high temperature, expanded and exploded. It's not possible," end quote. And again, all these future translations that I am conveying within this video aren't new at all and are canon to the main timeline to Naruto's canonical continuity, this being all 5 Boruto light novels, all the Retsuden and Shinden mangas and light novels, the last Naruto Part 1 and 2, and finally the Boruto movie, and later on the Boruto manga, and later on to that, the sequel to Naruto, the Boruto anime. With this being said, it would again be consistent with not only the inverse scaling but the narrative consistency, with Naruto being this fast and being faster than light within his own verse, whether that be using calcs with the KCM1 speed scaling, blitzing the Raikage, or Naruto dodging the likes of the Sage Art Light Fang that quote-unquote bisects the enemy like a sharp-pointed fang. It cuts all things at the speed of light. So yeah, Naruto would then in fact be this fast, and there's nothing contradicting it. Ichigo during the Soul Society arc was able to fight against the likes of the suppressed Saraki Kenpachi, a captain level threat. This feat is not only impressive because this was Ichigo before he had attained the likes of his Bankai and or Shikai, but because captain level opponents are forced to suppress themselves because the world of the living, in at least planetary sized realm, wouldn't be able to handle it. This is even shown with Rangiku, with her being suppressed by 5 times as stated by Renji every time she would go to the world of the living. This is also true for other lieutenants and captain level characters. Ichigo, after training with the likes of Yoruichi to train his Bankai, was able to block an amped attack from the Soyoku that was stated to destroy the entire Sarate and the entire Soul Society as well. Ichigo went as far as destroying the podium that should be able to take attacks from this amped Sokyoku, so it's consistent that within this period of time within the series, Ichigo is in fact planetary or above. During Ichigo's fight against the likes of a second Resurrection transformed, which is at least a 100 times multiplier, due to the fact that the first Resurrection is completely and directly stated to being comparable of that of a Bankai, and if we assume that the second Resurrection is also the same amp, 10 times amp equals 100, and therefore Ukiura would be 100 times more powerful than he is in his aforementioned base form that he fights Ichigo with in the beginning of their fight. Ichigo was then able to achieve the likes of the Vsbattle form, which was able to utterly bully the likes of this Ukiura. Keep in mind, all espadas must release under the canopy of Las Noches due to the fact that it has enough power to destroy the likes of Las Noches as a whole. Keep in mind, this same Las Noches is seen to have a day and night cycles within them, which would also affirm the inside of Las Noches would be bigger than the exterior. This would also mean that Ichigo's Vsbattle form will most likely have star level ranges of power via the Las Noches scaling that I did prior. I'll leave this up to your interpretation though. During the Hellverse movie, which is directly stated by Kubo himself to be a better representation and or interpretation to Ichigo's fight against Ukiura than the manga, due to the fact that it wasn't rushed, unlike the manga version, which was rushed by Shonen Jump. During the Hellverse movie, Ichigo would break the chains of hell, which again Ryusai Yamamoto himself, the captain of the Gotei 13, who fought Yuha twice, thought were unbreakable. Due to this, it's likely that this version of Ichigo is above the likes of this stronger Yamamoto than the one that we see from the war arc, and I'll get into how he's weakened later. Dangai Ichigo was stated in the data books to be the strongest thing in the series within that point of time, which would include both the weakened and not weakened Yamamoto, who threatened the existence of the Soul Society. Again, this realm is stated to be planet-sized within the novels and have full day and night cycles as seen in both the anime and manga continuities of the series. As to the reason why Yamamoto is weaker, we know that when he sacrificed against the likes of Aizen, Yuha in the 1000-Year Blood War arc makes it abundantly clear that if Yamamoto wasn't reluctant to have Orihime heal his arm, then the fight against Yamamoto and Yuha would have gone a little differently than the original fight. So yes, it's very consistent that Ichigo is at the star level of solar system ranges of power in just his Dangai form. During the 1000-Year Blood War arc, a character known as Gremmy would then be introduced within the series. Gremmy, who is apparently the strongest Sternritter, possessed the power of a lower form of subjective reality manipulation. A post-training arc Kenpachi was able to beat the likes of this Gremmy, the same Gremmy who unironically created an entire galaxy, which is later confirmed within the manga, anime, and later on Can't Fear Own World light novels. For those of you who deny Gremmy did in fact do this feat, not only is this feat his exact power to do so, but there are multiple representations of this power within their fight, like Gremmy summoning guns, as well as an entire meteor prior to him creating this entire galaxy against the likes of Kenpachi. This same Ichigo scales above the likes of this very Kenpachi quite easily, seeing how this Ichigo's Bankai was stated to only be attainable by the likes of Yuha himself, but this was not the case for Kenpachi. So yes, it would be consistent that yes, Ichigo is in fact galaxy level and or multi-galaxy level in the early war arc, and there's nothing that contradicts or disproves it. It is also stated by Aizen that Yuha struggled with full power True Horn of Salvation Bankai Ichigo more than he anticipated, and Yuha himself doesn't even try to refute it and implies he agrees. And yes, this is true, seeing how a Gran Ray Sero mixed with a Getsuka Tensho is able to damage the likes of Yuha, who more or less scales above the verse entirety. It's also stated within the Can't Fear Own light novels, which are canon to the main canonical continuities of the series, that Yuha did in fact lose to the likes of Ichigo, and that Ichigo was strong enough to serve as the whole kings and hold together the 3 realms altogether. And it's not only stated once but twice, meaning he would be relative to Yuha if you take that into account and take this interpretation, meaning he was scaled above the likes of Ichibe Hyosube, who in the same light novel is comparable to that of the entire Gotei 13 as well, including a prime Yamamoto, who is in fact star level as well via the statements of him being able to destroy the Soul Society by Unohana, who was there during his prime stages of his power. However, before I end off this section of the video, I would preface that there is a 5D multiversal scale that a Bleach scaler did provide to me, and at the end of this video is where I will state the argument and I will give my reasonings as to why I think it's wrong. However, moving on to Ichigo's speed, Ichigo in the data book was stated to have lightning levels of god speed, which would be consistent due to Ichigo's Bankai being portrayed as a speed increase more than anything. Ichigo would then scale above the likes of the Nagashion due to the fact that he kind of just scales above everyone within the verse except for Yuha, so for obvious reasons I'm not going to extrapolate on that too much. Via this feat, Ichigo would then be at the bare minimum low ball faster than light. Ichigo is also able to produce and react to Cereals, which are directly stated to be beams of light themselves, so yes, it would be further consistent that he is faster than light. However, before I continue on with the video, I would like to clear up some misconceptions and or arguments for both sides that I do think stems from ignorance or just aren't that great. Starting off with the misconceptions within Bleach, the first thing I'll cover is the 4D scaling that is predicated upon the Isn't statement. The Isn't statement states that he cannot sense Ichigo's Ryotsu, so therefore he's on a higher plane of dimensionality, which is blatantly wrong, and here is why. If we take the prior statement that Aizen thinks he's transcended to all Soul Reapers into account, and if we take the statement at face value and assume it's true, one must first prove that just because one cannot feel another's Ryotsu, that means they scale on an entirely different dimensional tier above the said character. But secondly, the statement is quite literally just hyperbolic. The reason why Aizen makes the claim on dimensionality is because the sheer power gap between their power to the point where that is the only way he can properly define it. And not that this is actually the case in actuality. We also know that you can lower your Ryotsu, but you cannot, however, lower your dimensional existence unless proven otherwise, which you cannot. The multiversal Yuha scale would go as follows. Just because the Muken is stated to be infinite and apart from the space-time, this would mean that each realm on its own is a separate space-time, and therefore Yuha being able to destroy these three realms, including the Garganta itself, would mean he would be multiversal. And with Ichigo showing relative feats to this Yuha, like actually damaging him, he would also be multiversal as well. However, this doesn't work for numerous reasons. The first reason is due to the simple fact that while yes, the kanji states that the Muken is infinite, which I do have problem with, seeing how infinite can just mean very great or actually limitless and not actually infinite, but because it's directly stated that the Soul Society and the world of the living are linked and are parallel worlds. We know that this is true due to the simple fact that the Soul Society is able to spill into the world of the living, and if the balance is broken, this will happen. If these are truly separate space-times, then therefore the Soul Society wouldn't be able to actually spill within the world of the living, and if you make the argument that, oh well, they're connected by the Garganta, well, like I said earlier, it's supposed to be quote-unquote disconnected from space-time, then logically speaking, it wouldn't be able to spill from one realm to another due to the simple fact that they are indeed different space-times, which, like I'm saying, they are not. So yes, Ichigo nor Yuha would actually be multiversal via this scale because they were completely separate, one could not spill into the other, so Ichigo is indeed multi-galaxy at best via the aforementioned Grammy scaling that I had provided earlier. The misconceptions within Naruto, although not as much within Bleach, are very prevalent and something I would also like to address. People may say that Kaguya got her power from the Shinobi Alliance, yet the Alliance aren't even Nine-Tails level, which is shown when they're almost killed by the Jubi Cataclysm, and they're only saved due to the One-Tail Cloak provided by Naruto. This would also mean that a 4 times AM Shinobi Alliance is still nothing compared to not only the Nine-Tails itself, but Kaguya herself. Also, Naruto being this strong would just be consistent within multiple tiering systems such as Vsbattle Wiki as well as character stats and profiles. So yes, Naruto is indeed universal plus levels of power. Also, I do want to bring up that yes, Naruto can sense Ichigo via the Limo clones being stated to exist within a whole different plane of existence. Naruto also does have Soul Hacks resistance as well, which is showcased during the fight against Edo Nagato, with Edo Nagato using the Rinnegan to try to steal Naruto's soul. Pause. However, in my personal opinion, I truly think Naruto wins this fight 9 out of 10 times, unless you think Ichigo is like multiversal or whatever, but I'll leave that up to your interpretation. Also, Naruto can damage Ichigo with the True Secret Orbs, because 1, it is in fact a durability negation, and 2, it attacks the soul directly, which is shown after Minato gets his arm cut off by the True Secret Orbs, in which his arms still don't reappear within his spiritual form. So again, I do believe that Naruto has more win cons and does take this due to scaling higher and overall hacks, with Ichigo having just a get to Potentials and Grand Cereals, and then a mixture of the two within his Sword of Salvation state. Although again, as I said prior, I do think this pales in comparison to things like the True Secret Orbs and the Rasen Shuriken and things of that nature. Naruto also has the creation of all things technique, which allow him to manipulate reality on small levels, which is seen used by Kakashi and Might Guy. However, it has been Tempest. All the links to my Discord server and actual Discord tag would not only be in the description down below, but will be in the comments as well. So if you happen to disagree, join up or add me and we could talk. However, make sure to have a nice rest of your day. Make sure to stay safe as well. And till next time, bye.